Do you think now this is behind him?
No. No, Tony, I don't. And I don't want this to land all on Drew Brees. I believe the apology. I believe it was as sincere and as heartfelt as he could possibly be, and it reflects that. That's not my point today. And I'm angry today, Tony, because even Drew Brees in his apology, he doesn't address what it was that ticked off so many people, including me, which is essentially the questioning of the patriotism of anybody, and let's say the anybody in this case is black folks, who want to take a knee and have protests during the anthem when the flag is raised at sporting events. Drew Brees, and here's why the conversation is important. Drew Brees ain't the only one who feels this way. I'm going to say, this is my estimation, 80 to 90% of white Americans feel that taking a knee is disrespectful of the flag and it somehow is at odds with what their forefathers did, as if our forefathers weren't there dying on the same battlefields, which angers black folks, angers me. I don't think Drew Brees gets that at all. And so when he says he didn't get it, I believe him. He didn't get it, and he doesn't get it. But he's like, again, 85% of Americans or more, white Americans, they don't connect with what we're talking about. 10 people can look at the American flag, all can be patriotic, and all feel differently about the specifics of what that flag represents. Because Drew Brees' granddaddies came back home, perhaps to a local parade. My uncles and dad came back home to say, get on the back of the bus. No, you can't live in this neighborhood. No, you can't try on the clothes in this department store. And they're all veterans. They all sacrificed and served this nation. Drew Brees still doesn't get that, at least the statement doesn't reflect that to me. And 90% of white Americans don't get where we're coming from on this issue. And this conversation is necessary. It needs to keep going. I believe Drew Brees. I believe he's sincere. I believe he's a good person. But I don't believe he gets this point. And Tony, this point, these conversations are going to be confrontational. They're going to be uncomfortable. They're going to pit friends and family members against one another. If we don't go through that process, all of this means nothing.
All right, so I'm not going to speak for all white people. I'm just going to speak for me to this particular issue. And I have always thought, as you know, that you can take a knee whenever you want to take a knee. And you can also say, I'm not taking a knee and I'm bothered by it. What is bothersome to me about this is there's no dialogue whatsoever. There's just shouting. There's just shouting. We're not going to get anywhere if we shout. The only way to make this work is to say, what is it that bothers you about issue X? Let me hear it. My problem with what Drew Brees did, and I was surprised. I guess I wondered, why did he even do this? In the times in which we live, why would you say something that you have to know if you're a pretty smart guy is going to be inflammatory? Why would you do it? What I felt was wrong about it is that it was not empathetic. It was as if he was saying, yeah, I get your issue, but just not with the anthem. And that's not getting the issue. I mean, that's not the way it works. And I wondered if it would be permanent damage to Drew Brees. Michael Thomas has come around and said, we're good now. That's very important because Michael Thomas is the #1 receiver. Other guys on the Saints have said, we're good now. Because this morning, when I didn't know that, I thought Drew Brees would have this trouble. He'd have to go in that locker room and talk to people that he thought were friends, and they might be questioning his character. And I thought that would be difficult. But it seems now that there's a path towards reunification in that locker room. But I'll tell you what I wonder about, Mike, and I'm listening carefully to what you said. Will other teams split along this same fault line? Unless someone says, I can't tell you what I really feel because I don't want to antagonize you. Are we going to get to the part, you say you need to have uncomfortable conversations. What if somebody says they're going to be too uncomfortable for me and there's a split in all sports along that fault line? Do you see that happening?
Possibly, Tony. Yeah. But, Tony, what's the NFL going to do? The NFL, thinks it has some sort of policy against this. Now, what is the NFL going to back off? Let me get specific. What's Jerry Jones going to do? Jerry Jones has said, you can't play for me and you cannot exist under my employment if you do this. Really? Really? Because I'm betting some Dallas Cowboy players are going to have the stones to say to Jerry, no, no, no.
Yeah.
It's a different day and a different time, and you are going to listen to this or we go. Tony, shouting is sometimes necessary because you know what? Peaceful, calm conversation, it hadn't worked. And so this goes back to people aren't
let me
hearing.
address what you're saying. Let me address exactly what you're saying. I don't understand. Again, the NFL and all sports, but the NFL in particular, wraps itself very tightly in the flag. You don't have to have this national anthem. That's an invention. Sports didn't start with the national anthem. You don't have to have it. You can play something else. So you know what you can do? You can play football because that's why you're there. I think these conversations will take place in a variety of locker rooms. I'm sort of happy that Drew Brees may not be totally damaged because, as we both agree, he's done wonderful things in the city of New Orleans.
Yes,
this was a bad misread, and he didn't know it was a misread. And if he didn't know it was a misread, there's a lot of guys out there who don't know it's a misread, and they mean well, but they don't get it.
But that's the phrase. And I'm saying to you today, I don't think Drew Brees gets this, even though, again, I don't want this to all fall on Drew Brees. Drew Brees is just saying what, again, to me, 85%, 90%. Tony, I'm glad you're in that other percentage. And I know, the old radical that you are, you have always believed, yes, Colin Kaepernick and anybody else can take it. I know that's part of consistently of who you've been. I've known you for 40 years. But, Tony, don't act like you're the rule.